In today's video, I want to talk about a service that you can provide to your clients as a consultant and help them significantly, but also provide a decent income for yourself, depending on a few factors like your skill sets or where in the world you are, the market in which you operate. You could earn anywhere between $1,500 up to $5,000 for one day for facilitating a one-day workshop. And what is this workshop about? This workshop is a design thinking workshop. Design thinking is what will allow is one of those tools that allows you to significantly help your clients transform their businesses. And so today we're diving into that and how it revolutionizes problem solving. You might notice me looking at my screen. That's because I've got my notes on my screen that I'm following. So I'm not just speaking extemporaneously, but I'm actually following my notes to ensure that I don't miss anything. So whether you're a consultant or a business owner or just somebody who loves innovation and you're you're fascinated by innovation, or you're a manager in a company as an employee, this video will definitely show you how to tackle challenges in a more creative and human-centered way. But it's particularly designed for consultants, like I said, because this is a service that you can provide your clients and help them solve problems and grow their businesses. So for the rest of the video, you will find me addressing consultants. But if you're a business owner and not yet a consultant or not a consultant, you can apply this process to your very own business. And maybe you're not in a position to pay for a consultant right now. You can apply it in your business and see significant benefits that we'll talk about. All right. Before I move forward, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you're a business consultant or a small business owner, an entrepreneur, or an employee who's considering becoming a consultant. This is the Consulting Catalyst, and here I share business tips, lessons around consulting skills and business ideas, and even financial nuggets to help consultants and small business owners get to the next level. So if you're a consultant or you're thinking about becoming a business consultant, or you're a small business owner that wants to grow your business to the next level, this is the channel that you want to subscribe to. So I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification button so that whenever I post any new video, you will be the first to be notified about that video. Finally, if you find value in this, and I'm sure you will, please do well to share it with people in your network so that we can build more good into the world. All right, so design thinking. In my last video, I introduced the concept of design thinking as part of what I called creative consulting and how that can help businesses grow significantly. And this is the second video in that series where we want to talk about the opportunity and that comes with design consulting from a service standpoint in terms of value creation for small businesses, but also from an income generation standpoint for consultants. And that's what we're going to cover in this video. Design thinking is not just a buzzword, and I don't want you to see it as just another buzzword and it's sexy and people talk about it, and so yeah, I'm practicing design thinking or I'm having a design thinking workshop. No, it's more than a buzzword. Design thinking is a powerful method. It's a process that helps us understand and solve problems by putting the human beings at the center of everything we do. When you run businesses, sometimes it's so easy to forget about the people that make things happen in these businesses. And design thinking allows you to put those people back at the center of it, and with their help, you are able to solve problems or take your business to the next level. So when you think about design thinking, think about it as a toolkit for innovation, one of many toolkits, obviously, but this one combines creativity, logic, and empathy. And when you bring these together, you get some really powerful results. So at the core, when you really break down design thinking, it comes down to four key elements. One is empathy. Empathy is about really getting into your user, your customer's shoes. It's about understanding who your customers are. And again, as a consultant, this is about you helping your client understand who their customers are. Um, then the next stage is once you really understand and not just who they are, but what they're dealing with, what challenges they're facing, what they say, what they think, what they do. That's what empathy is about. Really getting into your customer's shoes. When you've done that, you are able to move to the next level, which has to do with ideation. All right, so let's go back to empathy. If there's a problem you're facing with empathy, you are able, if there's a problem the business is facing or your employees are facing, um, then of course, you as the consultant, if there's a problem your clients, employees are facing, you are able to allow them and teach them to use empathy to understand the problem by putting themselves in the shoes of the employees, or if there's complaints coming from customers, putting themselves in the shoes of those customers, or both sometimes. Then, like I said, we move on to ideation. Ideation is where you're letting creativity run wild with possible solutions. This is where no idea is crazy. You allow the flow to open completely, and people bring out as many wild ideas as possible. And then there's prototyping. This is where you turn those ideas into something tangible. Some of those ideas will hold water, others will fall through the cracks, but prototyping now allows you to assess all the ideas and see which is possible. And then we'll move on to testing. So testing is the fourth key element, and this is about learning from real feedback. You've done your prototyping, you've turned your ideas into something tangible, you've probably put those things into use, you've put them into some applications, and now you learn from those feedbacks, from applying this, and you are able to make things better. So as a consultant, a business consultant, why should you care about design thinking? Well, it's not really just because it makes things look pretty, but when the businesses use the design thinking approach, they collaborate better, they come up with more innovative solutions, and most importantly, they create things that people actually want to use, products or services. But let's break it down a little further. Let's look at how valuable design thinking is for small businesses. If you offer a design thinking workshop to a small business, there are at least 10 different benefits that these businesses can have. And some of them will have more and some of them will have fewer. Some of them may have all of these benefits. All right. So design thinking workshops can be incredibly beneficial for small businesses because they foster innovation, they improve problem solving, and obviously they enhance customer satisfaction. So let's look at some of the key benefits. One, it drives innovation and creativity. And I cannot talk about this enough because when you run a design thinking workshop, it encourages employees to think outside the proverbial box. And it encourages them to generate creative solutions to the challenges that the business is facing. So you give them the freedom, you give them the leverage to offer solutions that are seriously considered. A design thinking workshop definitely encourages employees to think outside the box and generate creative solutions to business challenges. It helps uncover, as part of the driving of innovation and creativity, it will help uncover opportunities for growth. Through a design thinking workshop, you could come up with new product ideas or improvements to existing services. Those are just some of the ways by which it can drive innovation and creativity. Another thing that design thinking workshop will do for small business is to enhance customer centricity. What does that mean? The core principle of design thinking, or the first key principle of a key element of design thinking is empathy for the customer. So by helping your clients have empathy for their customers, by helping small businesses better understand their customer needs, their pain points, their desires, you help them serve those customers better. Okay, so you give these businesses a chance, because sometimes many small business owners are more focused on what they do. So let's say I run a, a small restaurant. I'm more focused on getting the food out, getting the menu right, and but not really paying attention to what customers need often. Or it may be that I run a taxi, an app, a ride hailing app, and it's all about getting drivers signed up and getting rides booked. But what do customers want? Why are people coming to us versus others? These are all situations that design thinking will allow you to discover for your customers or with your customers. It also allows you to align the solutions with customer expectations. So when you understand what customers really want, you are then able to create solutions that align with their expectations. A third benefit for businesses, excuse me, is that design thinking is ideal for tackling what's known more as wicked problems. You know, those problems that are really complex, they are uncertain, they're not properly defined, those complex problems, those wicked problems, I like to call them, it improves your ability to solve those problems because it provides a structured framework that you can use to approach these problems systematically. So, like we said, you empathize, you define, you ideate, prototype, and test. And so that allows you to uh, uh, solve those complex problems. Benefit number 4. Design thinking workshop will bring employees together so that they collaborate. It boosts team collaboration. Um, Probably somewhere down the line, we will look at team dynamics and how, as consultants, you can help organizations, businesses and organizations improve team dynamics and bring so much value to them by that. But for now, understand that, and in that conversation, design thinking will come up again. But for now, realize that design thinking definitely helps boost team collaboration. And so you break down silos through design thinking. A silo is where a department chooses to work by itself, or sometimes individual will be by themselves and want to operate in their own little box. And sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not intentional. It's as a result of other issues that may be happening within the organization. All right. It also, with design thinking, you are able to facilitate cross-functional teamwork, and that helps to ensure a more comprehensive and innovative solutions. Design thinking increases agility and adaptability. What does that mean again? That means that small businesses often face different challenges and uncertainties. If you've ever run a small business, and trust me, I have run a few different small businesses, up to 10 different ones, and I know all too well the kinds of challenges that small businesses face. Through design thinking, we're able to instill a culture of experimentation and adaptability. We are able to try new options, new solutions, and it enables businesses to pivot quickly, to respond to market demands or market disruptions for that matter. So with one of the things I would encourage you to do is to work with your clients and let them have a culture where they can run this. So there are two ways you can go about this. They can bring you back every quarter to run a workshop, or you can empower them such that after the first one, they are able to run these workshops themselves. Either way, and there are benefits to both options for everybody. But that's number 5. Number 6 is that it builds differentiation and competitive advantage. If you understand your customers' needs deeply and you are able to deliver unique, tailored solutions to them as a small business, you stand out in the crowd. So your job as a small business, as a business consultant, is to help your clients understand their customers' needs deeply and deliver unique value, unique solutions that are tailored specifically to them. Okay? And by that, they stand out from a crowded market. It's not just enough to be like everybody else. Okay? So that's one way that design thinking builds the differentiation. The other thing is, again, if you go back, we understand that design thinking workshop will facilitate innovation, and when innovative solutions, you can help your customers even compete with larger firms by offering more personalized service. So it's definitely, I think, if you have a client that's stagnant in terms of growth financially, in terms of sales, definitely get them to organize a design thinking workshop, get them to pay for a design thinking workshop, because when you run it well, it encourages innovation and it positions them to compete with larger firms if those are their competitors. Small businesses are exposed to a lot of risks. And with design thinking, benefit number 7 is that it reduces the risk of failure. Because before you invest in a new product, for example, or a new service, and you do all the marketing and everything, with design thinking, you are able to type a prototype and test this out. And it allows you the business to experiment and validate the idea on a small scale before committing any significant resource. So your job again is to help them see, help your clients, help the small businesses see how they can test or validate their ideas on a smaller scale through design thinking. Number 8, we've talked about sparking a culture of innovation, inspiring people to think differently, encouraging them to embrace curiosity, to experiment, having user-centered thinking in the way they operate day to day. That's the spark, that's creating a culture of innovation. And if you run one design thinking workshop with them, you plant that seed and it allows them to continue. You could have a design thinking ambassador or design thinking champions in this firm, so that these people are checking in and ensuring that this culture exists across the board. All right. Number 9 is particularly interesting for me because it's one where in my work with clients, I've seen this bring so much value, and that is the improving of operational efficiency. Um, there are clients I've worked with over the last 20 years where some of them have just had like bulky processes, unnecessarily cumbersome processes, and unnecessary red tapes and bureaucracies in their organization. And when we've run these workshops, we're able to improve the processes, we're able to streamline workflows and eliminate some of these efficiencies. And by doing that, we cut down operational costs significantly, but also we found that we increase our ability, or for these businesses, increase their ability to serve their customers or their clients in better ways. So that's definitely a benefit that you don't want to overlook. When you have a culture that encourages innovation and you encourage design thinking in the environment, you bring that to the workflow, employees become more engaged. They are more motivated because the challenges, let me say this. In any business, if certain challenges continue to persist and nothing has been done to correct the situation by management or by ownership, nothing has been done to fix these challenges and they continue to perpetuate, people lose motivation. Your staff, your team will lose motivation. So when you apply design thinking, you're able to find solutions to these problems. employees become more engaged, they're motivated, and they're empowered. So even when challenges come, they're not scared to face these challenges because there is a culture and there is a toolkit, there is a set of resources that they can use to deal with those problems. So those are some of the benefits those are the benefits that I have seen over the years that small businesses can enjoy when design thinking is applied. So, for example, if you look at customer improvement, where a business wants to develop new ways to improve customer service interactions or to resolve customer complaints faster, all right, that's one example. You can have a situation where a business needs to create products that address specific customer needs. That's another area that you can apply these design thinking. Or maybe a client wants to design new customer-centric campaigns that will resonate deeply with their target audience. Again, before those campaigns are developed, you want to run a design thinking workshop to actually develop those campaigns. Like I just mentioned, operational challenges. These are all areas where you can, these are just examples, for example, of situations where design thinking can be applied. Okay, so at this point, I want to pause and remind you before we move on to the next phase of this training to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Hit that notification button so that you don't miss any of our lessons, and be sure to share this resource with your network of other consultants or people who will find it valuable. How do you conduct a design thinking workshop? Well, first, there are two ways you could do it. You could do it virtually, and I talked about that briefly in my previous video. So there are tools, there are online tools that you can use to conduct these workshops remotely. Personally, I've done a few remotely, but I didn't feel as engaged by it as I did in the in-person one. But maybe that's because I've not done too many remote ones. The outcomes were pretty much the same, but there's something, if at all possible, do it in person. But if not, it works just well using remote tools like Miro in combination with Zoom, or you can even run a design thinking workshop with all just good old Zoom or Google Teams, and maybe in the future I will uh, show how we can do that as well. All right, but the old school method also works well with sticky notes and whiteboards. All right, what really matters at the end of the day is having the right mindset. If you have the right mindset, hey, it doesn't matter what tool you use. So, how do you conduct a design thinking workshop? A typical design thinking workshop starts with some icebreakers like any workshop will do, right? You want to use that to get the creative juices flowing and getting people more comfortable with each other. There are many different types of icebreakers. One of my favorites is what we call the quick sketch challenge. And basically, this is where you have teams, you give teams just 60 seconds, nothing more, right? 60 seconds to draw solutions to a simple problem. So that allows them to start to think in the right direction. It could be a general problem that's being faced in the country or in a community, and then you just a problem that everybody's familiar with. It doesn't have to come to the business just yet. Just a problem that maybe it's on the news and everybody's talking about, and then you give the teams 60 minutes to draw solutions to these problems. It's amazing how this breaks down barriers and gets people thinking really differently, because they're not drawing as individuals, they're drawing as a team. And drawing is an individual activity, but now they have the responsibility as the team to draw the solution. So they have to discuss in 60 seconds and actually agree on a drawing. And it's interesting what you may choose to increase the time from 60 to 120 seconds. So that's from 1 minute to 2 minutes. You can be flexible. You could even go as far as 3 minutes, depending on the number of people in the workshop. But it's a really interesting icebreaker activity that you can do. The real magic begins when we start to map out the empathy. You start to do the empathy mapping, right? So imagine that you are the owner of a medical clinic who wants to serve your patients better. And at the same time, you're introducing a new service to them, Instead of just jumping straight to launching out these features, what you want to do is create an empathy map. Now, this is the workshop, and you as the consultant, you're facilitating this workshop, and you will lead the process to get the people to document what the patients currently see, what they currently say about your clinic and the services you offer. What do they do? For example, do they take the prescriptions that are given to them? Do they make the lifestyle changes that are required for them to feel healthy? Are they paying their bills on time? What do they do as it relates to their interactions with you? And how do they feel? You put yourself, you get the employees of this medical clinic to put themselves in the shoes of their patients. And then you map out all these things, what they see, what they say, what they do, how they feel. This level of deep understanding leads to better solutions. Okay? Now, the next step is to generate ideas. Generating ideas now, because you've now understood where your customers are, where the patients are in our medical clinic example. You start to generate ideas to address some of the issues that are already coming up. Okay, because in the empathy mapping, that's where you really come up with the problems and the challenges, and they're highlighted. And then when you start to generate ideas, there's a technique that I use, and I call it crazy eights. It's called crazy. I didn't create it. I discovered it. And basically it involves you folding a piece of paper. Sometimes I use flip chart paper and fold it 8 times. You can also use an A4 paper or letter size paper. But again, depending on the size of the room, you could get a sheet from the flip chart rim and fold it 8 times, and then you get the team to sketch 8 different ideas around a problem that's been identified in 8 minutes. So 8 ideas in 8 minutes, and they're sketching it. They're not writing this, but they're sketching it. Again, this allows the brain to get into overdrive and start to work. And it forces them to think beyond their first or second obvious solutions and actually go deeper into finding solutions. For prototyping, it doesn't have to be complicated. You can start with those same paper sketches and then create simple storyboards, and using the post-it notes, or if you're using virtual tools, you can use InVision or the same Mira. And the goal for prototyping is not perfection, it's learning fast through feedback. So based on what ideas come out, now you take each idea and you run it through the system. Okay? If we apply this idea, what will happen? What will happen? What will happen? What's next? What's next? And eventually you run that entire idea through to full implementation in the workshop, and you are able to see by the end of it what will happen if you implement that idea. And there are other tools you can use. So for example, you could use tools like the 5 whys. Why? Or other ones that I've used that I can't think of right now. But again, we will post subsequent tools as we look at. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a separate training on each step of each of the key elements of a design thinking workshop. I want to have a separate training on each one and go deeper into it as part of this series on um, business innovation for growth using design thinking or creative consulting. Okay. But the prototyping is just about asking probing questions and putting the different ideas to a test. Okay. And then you test what is really the outcome. So this is where theory meets reality. After you've done your prototyping, maybe you will come up with 2 or 3 possible solutions. It is now here that you want real users. So the testing usually does not happen the very same day of the workshop. So you give instructions and you give them assignments to go and test the prototyping and come back for feedback and debrief. That's how I've done it. Others may do it differently, but that's how I've done it. So because you want a situation where real users, and if we come back to the medical clinic, if we're having a workshop with the team, the patients are not there. So once we've prototyped and we've identified 3 possible solutions or 2 possible solutions or even 1 possible solution, you want to now take that solution back to the marketplace, back to real users, and allow them to interact with that prototype solution. And let's see, so whether it is a new service, then get 5 or 10 persons to experience the service, whether it's a new way of onboarding patients, whatever it is that the challenge is centered around, you get real users to engage with the new ideas and a new prototype. Their struggles and successes will guide whatever iterations that you need to make, if at all there are any. Remember, at the testing stage, failure is just as good a feedback as success. All right? So the idea of the testing stage is not so much to be successful, which is a good thing, but even if we fail, it has definitely showed us what not to do. All right. The key to making design thinking work is really the culture. If you work with the heads of the companies, your clients, to create a culture that embraces experimentation and learning, then design thinking works. People are free to roll out new ideas and throw out new ideas and see what works, no matter how crazy it may seem. When people feel safe, then they are able to um, put themselves out there and offer ideas that will help the institution or help the business without fear of being criticized. All right. So this is the general framework of a design thinking workshop. Like I mentioned, I will break down each of the processes, each of the elements in a separate video. And then, you know what, maybe at some point I will post one of, but again, it depends on, the client. Oh yeah, I can run a workshop with my own team and you guys will see what it looks like, or you'll see what it looks like. Okay. So what are some of the types of businesses? I use the medical clinic as an example, but there are other types of businesses as well. So what are the types of businesses that could benefit from design thinking or design thinking workshops? There are many. Actually, design thinking can benefit almost any business so far as there are humans involved. Okay. But certain types of businesses definitely stand to gain the most due to their focus on innovation, customer experience, and complex problem solving. So let's look at some of the businesses that benefit from design thinking. The first type of businesses that will benefit from design thinking workshop or design thinking in general are startups. Why startups? Well, they often create, they operate in fast changing environments. They need to develop innovative solutions to stand out. Um, Design thinking will help them validate their ideas quickly. It will help them reduce risk, like we talked about, and create user-centered products that meet real market needs. So, as a consultant, you want to be able to help, especially tech startups, that are involved in designing mobile solutions or any kind of solutions, agribusinesses, AI, crypto, blockchain solutions, whatever, startups in general definitely benefit from design thinking, and as a consultant you can help them bring a lot of value to the marketplace through that. Another type of business will be consumer focused businesses. So if you look at consumer focused B2C businesses that really rely on delivering exceptional customer service, they can use design thinking to deeply understand the customer behaviors and preferences, and that will help them really optimize the service that they deliver. It obviously enhances the customer satisfaction, loyalty, and in the consumer focused business, there's a lot of competition, so it also encourage enhance competitive differentiation. So think retail stores, think e-commerce platforms, food and beverage companies. These are all types of businesses that can benefit from consumer from design thinking. Like we mentioned with startups, there are technology companies that may not be startups, but they are still technology companies that are affected by rapid innovation and user-centric design as well, because these are critical for them staying competitive in tech. So when you help these kinds of companies uh, with design thinking, facilitation, and consulting, they benefit because you work with them to create user-friendly, intuitive products while reducing their development cycles. Larger tech companies may have longer development cycles, and that could be more costly. And by applying design thinking, you may be able to reduce the development cycle through prototyping and testing, giving them a chance to bring out the right products at a much lower cost. So think software companies, SaaS platforms, device manufacturers, all of these can benefit from design thinking. Service-oriented businesses. These are the ones that really involve a lot of human interaction. And so design thinking really will improve service delivery, consumer satisfaction, operational efficiency, like I mentioned earlier. So think hospitality, education services. These are services that will benefit significantly uh, uh, um, from design thinking. Restaurants, hotels, guest houses, event planning, all these different types of services definitely benefit. Health and wellness providers, I just use a medical clinic as an example. Healthcare involves complex systems, whether it's a large hospital or a small clinic. There are complex systems involved. There are policies and regulations. There are diverse stakeholders. All of these factors come to play. And critical user experiences need to be optimized. You remember when you think about the state that a person is in when it comes to healthcare facility, oftentimes they're not in the best state. They're sick. That's why they're coming. So they're not in the best frame of mind. And the level and quality of service you provide will help their frame of mind adjust, especially if they're feeling and they begin to feel better based on their interaction with you. So again, the benefits of design thinking in healthcare comes down to improving patient care, improving medical processes. It's about introducing or optimizing health technology innovations as well. So clinics, hospitals, health tech startups, they all benefit from design thinking. Social enterprises and nonprofits. Uh, these people they're addressing challenging societal problems. Innovation helps them a long way, and they need innovation. They need cost-effective solutions. So when you come in as a consultant and you work with them, you empower them to create impactful programs that still up to the community needs, and they can do that with much less expense. So nonprofits across all spectrum, from youth development to working with clean water, they can all benefit from design thinking. Okay, and then you can explore also manufacturing and product design businesses, manufacturing companies, product design firms. Manufacturing companies obviously got to design new products, so they and the companies that are involved in the design, they got to design products that balance user needs, that with production efficiency and cost effectiveness. That's a huge one. You've got user needs on one end, you've got production efficiencies on the other end, and you've got cost effectiveness. So as a consultant, when you understand what these companies are thinking, you are able to better serve them. All right. The benefit, again, improving the product development cycle, creating user-friendly designs, all of that good stuff. Okay. Education and training providers constantly needing innovation in teaching and learning needs and technology. With design thinking, we can improve curriculum design, improve teaching methods, learning engagements. Okay. Financial services. You have a situation where financial services requires balance of trust, ease of use, and innovation to still competitive. And in this day and age, with cybersecurity a major consideration, design thinking will definitely bring a lot of value because it will enhance customer experience in the banking, insurance, or the fintech sector. And these are deep, deep areas where you want to work with your clients to really go deep in understanding the customer's needs in those areas. Last but certainly not least, I got logistics and supply chain businesses. And these businesses face complex operational challenges as well. Managing logistics for any major industry or major companies is no small feat. So improving efficiency, reducing costs, enhancing client satisfaction, these are all benefits associated with supply chain logistics and supply chain. Okay. The key takeaway here is that businesses that prioritize customer experience, innovation, and problem solving are the ones that will benefit the most from design thinking. The principles can be applied to virtually any business, but if you prioritize customer experience, innovation, and problem solving, realizing that it allows your business to grow, then of course that business will benefit from design thinking. So here's something that you want to consider. As a consultant, don't forget that you yourself are a business owner. You are an entrepreneur, albeit that you may be a solo entrepreneur, but you still are an entrepreneur, or you may have an assistant or two, or you may run a consulting firm for that matter. Maybe you want to start by running a design thinking workshop for yourself, for your business, that's focused on helping other business run similar workshops. So apply this to your own business. Organize a workshop and put yourself in the shoes of your clients and then follow the process. This will definitely bring value to you. This will definitely bring value to you. Now, as a consultant, what can you earn offering design thinking consulting to your clients? Because it's not just the workshop, but the workshop is a fundamental part, but the follow up and all of that. So what can you earn? Well, the price to facilitate a design thinking workshop really depends on a number of different factors. Your expertise, the workshop duration, the audience size, what level of customization is required, what level of post-training support is required, all of that. Now, as a consultant, you may have your own approach to pricing your services. So general pricing guidelines. You have your price structure. But here's some recommendations. Again, depending on the factors that we've talked about. A one-day workshop could go anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000. If you are doing a multi-day support, so maybe a one-day workshop plus a few additional days of support, especially around the testing and evaluating the feedback from the testing, and maybe going back to prototyping and then testing again, and you're going to be supporting them maybe over a period of a week, or then of course you may charge between $5,000 and $10,000 for that entire package. Okay, that's the general pricing guideline for early stage consultants to mid-level consultants. Obviously, more seasoned experts could charge more. Also, it depends on who the client is, um, based on the client size and the industry. So corporate tech companies will be comfortable paying more. Nonprofits, educational institutions obviously have lower budgets. You also want to consider a few things: pre-workshop preparation, the time spent on researching your client's business needs and the challenges. So in pricing, you might want to consider adding maybe $500 for research in the overall price, between $500 to $1,000. Again, there's really no set stone in this. Post-workshop deliverables, like I mentioned, um, if you're traveling, if you're doing it in person, the key here is to use value-based pricing. As a consultant, go for value-based pricing. I understand that some industries really focus on daily rate and hourly rate, but as much as possible, charge for your services based on the value it provides, and that allows you to create a win-win situation because you are motivated and your client gets the best service. One thing to consider: as an independent consultant, you will definitely charge a little less than what a boutique firm will charge or what a top tier firm will charge. So to put things in perspective, if you present a package that's worth $10,000 for your service as an independent consultant, that could be, over a few days, couple of days. A boutique firm will charge $25,000 for that same service, and a top tier firm will charge $50,000 plus for that service. So if you want some support, personalized support in terms of what to charge, feel free to reach out to me, drop a comment and let me know. I think I'll put my contact information in the description, and then maybe we can explore together what to charge. I'll do another training on pricing subsequently, but for now, let's focus on creating value and actually helping our clients. So I know I've covered a lot in this video. Um, if you've got questions, drop it in the comments. I will respond to each of those questions, and then so that you're able to offer this service. In my next video, we will talk about how to land clients, how to get small businesses to hire you to provide design thinking consulting for them. All right, where to find these? I mean, we've talked about the types of businesses, so now we'll explore where to find them, how to get them on board, and obviously be able to earn a decent income for your service. Until next time, this is the Consultant Catalyst. My name is Dan, and I love you. Have a great day.